Welcome to the Fit for Halter podcast. We're here to bring practical content and community to the amateur halter exhibitor. I'm your host, Amy Zabel, and I interview people from across the halter horse industry. We'll learn new techniques, hear about the hottest products, and get to know one another. If you grow in your knowledge and we gain more exhibitors in the ring, this has been a success. It's a laid-back environment. Prepare to be inspired and maybe take some notes. Welcome to the Fit for Halter podcast. In this episode, we are covering another futurity. I'm excited to introduce to you Marcy Walker and Jim Scarpa with the East Coast Halter Futurity. So Jim and Marcy, you want to say hi to everybody?
Hi, I'm Marcy.
Hi.
I'm president.
Hi, Jim.
Good to meet you guys. Marcy is president and founder, and then Jim, vice president of East Coast Halter Futurity. So why don't we start? I'm sorry?
He is also a founder.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. So here we are with the folks who have been with it since the start, right?
Yes.
So thank you. Thanks. I look forward to sharing all the ways that what you do is similar to other futurities and the ways in which it's unique. We'll make sure that we cover information on how to get to know you, where to find you on the website, social media, etc. So first, I want to start with getting to know each of you as individuals in your horse journey. So can you tell us about your journey and then your connection to the halter horse industry?
Sure. Mine started probably in the late 70s. We had trotters and pacers on the track, and my dad would take us and, behind the scenes there and watch the horses swimming. And then my sister got into showing halter horses and won the 1977 Quarter Horse Congress and was grand champion youth gelding. And I guess from there, I was just hooked, and the rest is history.
Yeah. Awesome. What about you, Jim?
I got my first horse when I was 12 years old. I was very much into barrel racing and pole bending. I went to a professional horse auction service auction in Timonium, Maryland in 1991, and I got my first real look at these real pretty, impressive horses. And I remember a colt by Impressive Flower, and he was actually a full brother to the dam of M.H. Supremo, and I couldn't believe what I was looking at. That piqued my interest in halter horses, and then a local breeder, which had bred some really good horses, they had a big show string, and they needed somebody they needed additional people to show for them. My only knowledge of halter was really showmanship and grooming and 4-H, and that sort of traumatized me a little bit. So when I showed this gelding, I just went out there and I did my best, and the horse won a big class of about 17 horses, and I was just hooked from there.
Yeah. It's hard to turn back once you've gotten a taste of what it's like to be showing a beautiful horse like a halter horse, for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So before we get started talking about your specific futurity, can you explain what a futurity is and why it's important to the halter industry?
Well, a futurity is where you bring younger horses, weanlings through 3-year-olds, to show and win money. It's not like it's a regular AQHA pointed show. It's more about winning money at the futurities.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you see it having a significant impact on the halter industry?
I would like to think so, because there are no other futurities on the East Coast for people, to show their horse somewhere reasonably priced and win some money and prizes. So I'm hoping it helps the breeders along with the stallion owners. People show off their stock.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us about the history of the East Coast Halter Futurity.
Well, when we first decided, we were talking about it, like as Marcy said, there was nothing on the East Coast. And the ones that were in the Midwest or out on the Western coasts, the stallion nominations were high, and you really had to have a lot of money to enter and travel. Where we've made it affordable for the stallion owner and also for the exhibitor, and being located in the middle of the East Coast, so it was easy for people from Florida up to Maine to travel to it.
Yeah, that makes sense. There is a lot of travel that's involved in showing our halter horses, right? to get to the shows we want to attend. Yeah. So, Marcy, as president for the ECHF, what roles do you typically fulfill before and during the show?
Oh, wow, that's a loaded question.
It is.
And pretty much almost everything except paperwork. Like I secure the venue, we get the date, the judges, sponsors, organizing who's going to make the stall charts, set up, tear down prizes, prize bags, prize checks, other staff, which is mostly my family, besides Jim and Travis Thompson and I mean, that's it. There's only 3 of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a very patient husband.
Awesome. That's super helpful. What about you, Jim, as the vice president and another founder of the Futurity? What does your role include?
As the vice president, I work closely with Travis Thompson, who handles our SSA. Marcy and I assist him in that. I pretty much handle all the paperwork from entries, stall reservations, shavings, and everything that goes along with the filing of the paperwork. And I work closely with our show secretary, Linda Falls, who's just phenomenal, and just try to keep everything running smoothly.
Yeah.
He does most of the deposits too, where people send in their entry fees and stuff. He makes all the deposits.
Okay. I know there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that those of us who show up to the horse show are kind of expecting those things to happen along the way. The shavings, I think about shavings and stalls, and like all of that is something as an exhibitor that I'm looking for in the days leading up to the show, right? I'm wondering where my stall is, who I'm stalling near, and you guys have a big part in creating an experience for an exhibitor.
We try easy for them.
Yeah, yeah. So you bring together a variety of professionals, from the exhibitors to the sponsors and judges, and even stallion owners. So how do you coordinate all those moving parts to create that fantastic experience for people?
Very carefully. Well, we work with the stallion owners. We try to give them a little something back to make it worthwhile. So if they donate a breeding or pay to nominate, we give them one free breed or one free entry if they our show. So that helps them a little bit. And then Jim and I and Travis work really well together. That's why we don't really let other people in to throw a wrench in our well-oiled machine. Because we do what we do and we do it well. And it just seems to work for us, getting everything organized and running properly and finding who needs to do what.
Okay.
We also give our stallion owners a lot of advertising, whether it's on our Facebook page or on our website or hanging banners at the show. So we try to give them a lot of advertising also.
Okay. And then what's involved in the obtaining the judges? Does that take a lot of coordinating as well?
Well, we get together and we write down some names of who we think would be good. Pick the top ones. And what we've done in the past to keep the costs down and the payouts up is to find judges on the East Coast that can drive, so that we're not paying airfare and rental cars and all of that. But sometimes that doesn't work, and then we have to just pay. But then after we pick our judges, we pick our top ones and see who is available for our date and if they are willing to come. And then we kind of go from there after we go through our top choices for the year.
Okay. Any other details that would be helpful for us to know in regard to the planning?
Well, first thing is you got to secure the venue and a price and make it's affordable and, that type of thing. Then you pick, well, first you pick the date, then the venue.
Sure.
Coincides.
Okay.
And we start building from there. We start sponsors, product sponsors, money sponsors, class sponsors. And then we start getting our stallions in line, and then people can purchase their breedings. And that gives us money to work with and hand out and helps pay the bills to keep us going.
Yeah.
And then we just we piece it together kind of as we go. Because when we started, Jim and I never ran a horse show. I'm a halter girl. I show up and lead my horse in. You know, the trainer hands it to me. I show it and then I go back to the trainer. I know nothing about running a horse show. So we've had a lot of trial and error. And sometimes when people push the envelope and try to take advantage, we make a new rule, you know, because people do that. And we were
a lot. That happens a lot.
Out, but then they push the limit. And well, that's not a rule. Well, it is now. You know, that kind of, so it's a lot of error and we just puzzle it together.
How many years since you started the show?
Next year will be
next year will be
11.
11. Wow. That's fantastic. Okay. So then thinking about the show planning and organizing for a person who's either considering attending and gains better understanding, or even a person who's considering starting a futurity, what are some of the challenges that you've experienced? Maybe a difficult situation that you've had to solve during the futurity, or maybe some behind the scenes details that you want exhibitors to know.
Thing that happened that's very memorable was a judge and an exhibitor were arguing because this judge flip-flopped the horse around because this person that showed it in the second class couldn't get it shown. So he placed, I don't remember what it was, second or third when he won the previous class, and they were getting ready to duke it out. And I got between them and said, not at my show, knock it off. Because they were really getting ready to fist fight. Like,
oh my. And
I'm barely 5 foot. So I got between them and it was it was really hysterical. It was funny. But that's
Marcy's a spitfire.
What?
You're a spitfire.
Just a little.
She's tough as nails, which is needed to run a horse show.
Yeah. But I'm softy too at the same time. So it's hard to not be nice. And if I'm not being nice to somebody, you know, they really, really deserve it.
Well, you're always nice, but you can handle situations.
Yeah, because somebody knows if I'm being not so nice, like something's hitting the fan.
Yeah, yeah. So any other circumstances that have come up that you've had to handle that somebody might learn from?
Can you think of something, Jim? My mind just went blank.
We've been really blessed with a great group of exhibitors that, you know, they're there to have a good time. They're there to show their horses. They're there to meet new people, learn new tricks. And we keep a very comfortable, relaxed atmosphere. So we've been fortunate not to have too many, you know, incidents.
One individual, we used to give the stallion owners their free entry, and we used to have it transferable for $100. But we stopped that because one individual was taking advantage and going to the stallion owners that they knew would never show at our show if they had a foal by them and ask if they could have their free entry so they don't have to pay. So now we only give it to the stallion owner and it's non-transferable, because one year that person tried to get 6 free entries. That's what I mean by pushing the limit. And then that particular person asked why we got rid of that rule. And I said, because people were taking advantage. And they said, well, who would do that? Like they were oblivious when it was really them.
Yeah.
So that's why, I mean, we've learned through trial and error. Most people are honest. Oh, we did have one person try to cheat in the class. She lied to me and said that she was the owner's daughter-in-law. And she showed an amateur. Well, I found out right at the end of the class, she lied. She was not married to this woman's son at all.
Okay.
So we dealt with that right in there, and she was disqualified.
Yeah. Okay.
But you don't lie.
All sorts of people situations. Yeah.
Right to my face in the class as I'm handing you a prize.
Yeah.
And I found out that I was like, oh, your mother-in-law is going to be so happy. She goes, that's not my mother-in-law. And I was like, wait, what?
Whoopsie.
Yes.
So any other behind the scenes details that it takes to plan an event that you would want an exhibitor to know, or maybe a listener to know right now, that helps people gain some insight into what it takes to plan a futurity?
I personally would like them to know but we work very hard to make it look flawless, even though it's really not, you know,
Yeah.
and that we work very hard, laid back experience so that they can have a nice time to show their horse and make it special for them to where they're winning prizes. Most horse shows don't give prizes. If you do, it's like a hoof pick or a bookmark ribbon or something like that. And we make up prize bags that are very nice. And we try to make it a nice experience. And we work very, very hard for that.
Yeah. So how do you ensure that you've shared about this just a little bit already, but how do you ensure exhibitors have a positive experience at the event, both in terms of the competition, but overall atmosphere? What are some of the maybe details that you put into place to make that happen?
There's one thing I like to do. I like to look at everybody's Facebook page so I see them, and I walk around in the back and I can already greet them by their name. I'm a pedigree nut. I can look at a horse's papers and it's burned in my brain. So if I see a horse that I've known done something maybe in the 70s or 80s, and I see it on their horse's pedigree, I'd like to, share what I know about that, particular horse, and could be 4 generations back, but just to add that personal touch to everybody.
He is a pedigree, and if he really does, it burns into his memory. Like you can ask him about some weird stallion that only bred 3 mares, and if one of them was great, he knows it.
Yeah. One of the things that I've heard consistently from not only guests but listeners is that the Halter community is very welcoming. So it sounds like you're contributing to that, Jim, just in getting to know people. I think he's got a dog situation.
Oh.
I've heard consistently that the Halter community is very welcoming, and that just
well, it really
affirms that.
We try to be very welcoming. Yeah. We also, at our show in particular, we don't rush people. We want you to be able to go in and set your horse up and calm down and not be a nervous wreck. Some people, this is the first time they've ever showed a horse. And one of my pet peeves is at a quarter horse show, I can show and I'm out of the pen and they don't announce who wins until 2 classes later. And you get 0 recognition. Our show, that class is in there until the last person is out and they've got their ribbon or their bag. Everybody gets a bag of prizes, but every single person gets their moment in the spotlight and their name announced, their horse's name, while they're walking in or out with their prize. Because I hate it being at a quarter horse show and they rush you so fast. If I'm paying $2,000, $3,000 for a 1-day horse show, I want my name announced in the pen, whether I'm first or last. I don't want to take 2 classes to hear it, And then you're lucky if you maybe get a bookmark ribbon.
Yeah. Every show is a little bit different in that way, I guess, in how it's run. Yeah.
And I feel that's important because almost all of the horse shows have gone away from that because everybody's in too big of a hurry.
Yeah.
And literally for a 1-day horse show, if you have a trainer for 1 day, it's a minimum of $3,000. Because you have your hauling, you have your haul fee, your day fee, your entry fees, your shave, banding, your judges' fees, your drug fees, your entry fees, plus me getting there. And you know what I mean? So you're like $3,000 a day.
Right.
So that person deserves to have their name mentioned while people can see what horse it is.
Yeah. I appreciate that. It's a unique experience, I think. We don't always get that opportunity at every show, like you mentioned, to have a slower pace, right? We're hustling to get to the show and then to be able to slow down. I just appreciate your attention to that detail.
We have all day to show 30 classes. We're not in a hurry.
Yeah. That's great. So we talked a little bit about the judges process. Is there anything you want to add to that about selecting your judges or the process that you go through for that?
Well, we always make sure they're a halter horse judge. We don't pick a riding horse, or whatever. It's always And sometimes I go through the WCHA list and see, you know, who they've got on their judges list to see.
Mhm.
Or other times exhibitors will say, well, why don't you try so-and-so? You know, they live, and I've met judges that I've never even met before. And I've been in this since the 70s, because maybe they're more Appaloosa or more paint. And I've met some more wonderful people just by word of mouth, or somebody will tell you about this person. And then we kind of, you know, go from there.
Mhm.
But we do make sure they have Halter credentials.
Sure, that's great. So
One
then,
year we had,
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
we had Ted Turner one year, Judge, and that sort of made it exciting for people to show their horses to Ted Turner as a judge.
Yes.
So that, you know, made it a little exciting.
Yeah. He's definitely one of the legends, isn't he?
For sure.
Yeah. So, in your opinion, how does the halter, or I'm sorry, how does the futurity foster connections or build relationships in the horse industry, either for the purposes of breeding, training, or even growing a business?
Well, like I said before, we have the top sires in the world in our Stallion Service Auction. Plus, we have some little lesser known stallions that are, you know, up and coming that people breed to, or say somebody has their stallion in their backyard that's a nice stallion and he sires nice babies, and that
Mhm.
gets people to see his get out there.
Mhm.
And we provide, you know, obviously a fun and laid back show where
Mhm.
anybody can come and show their horse, and we welcome them all.
Yeah.
It also makes it affordable for like some of these stallions Marcy's talking about that might only breed 2 or 3 mares a year, but they want to show their foals. So our low stallion nomination fee makes it feasible for them to nominate their horse.
Yeah,
Mhm.
if
And make
they
it
don't,
affordable, only one or two going to be shown.
yeah, if they don't want to donate us a breeding and they help us get it sold, all they have to do is pay $500. They are stallions in, and they get a free entry.
That's
Or
great.
they donate a breeding, help us get it sold, or, you know, if it's getting sold through the auction, they can, you know, tell their customers, hey, buy it through here. And that way their horse is nominated.
Yeah.
And the way our futurity works is we pay out almost every red cent every year. We don't hold money back. That's why the stallion has to be nominated every single year for that foal to be shown.
Mhm.
We keep everything so low cost. So basically we're starting a whole brand new futurity every year. And I keep enough money just to pay our bills.
Mhm.
You know, the internet, the what do you call it? The website, our insurance. I forget what all we have to pay. It's not that much. Our taxes, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
That way we can pay out the most that we can pay.
Yeah.
Because if the other ways that futurities work, you'd have to hold out a percentage of the money so that 2 years ago foals can show as a 3-year-old. You know, that's just too much. It's just easier. We start a whole new thing every year.
Mhm.
And also, if the economy is not bad and say we had to skip a year, a bunch of people, there's not a bunch of money sitting there that people are complaining, well, what are you going to do with it?
Sure.
Already handed it out. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And we pay out same day. We don't,
That's unique.
yeah.
That's great.
Next year, I don't know what we're going to do because we're having it's on April 20th, and I'm losing our treasurer, which is my sister, and she writes all the checks because it's on Easter Sunday. It's
Okay.
we could get, which we changed up things for next year to try to have bigger payouts. So we're running with the spring breakout in Lexington, Virginia.
Okay.
So special halter day, and there will also be a double judge appointed AQHA show the same day that will run concurrent with our futurity. So they're getting more bang for their buck. We got rid of a bunch of classes. There's no weanling classes. So it's going to start yearlings, 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds.
Okay.
So hopefully the money won't be spread as thin. So
Okay.
they're better payouts, and they'll be at the spring breakout anyway. So they're getting one hauling fee, one stall fee, one shavings bill. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
that's a lot of money they're saving and can show AQHA plus our show, which as long as it's any papered stock breed, it's not just quarter horses.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even if it's got roan papers, it's any papered stock breed.
Okay. It sounds like for the coming year, you've added a lot more value to the person's travel and trip to your show. That's great.
Yeah, well, we were having it with the Virginia Color Classic, which was a good value too. But we're trying it just to see if it will help save the futurity.
Sure. Yeah. So if I'm a stallion owner, what does a stallion owner need to know if they're interested in entering their stud into the futurity?
Well, the first thing we like the stallion owners to know that we keep our prices low to make it affordable for everyone. They don't have to pay $10,000 to nominate, but we don't get big payouts either, like, you know, and all that stuff. But they can nominate their stallion by donating us a breeding, and through Pro Horse Services runs all of our auctions. And if it gets sold, then he's nominated. And then if it doesn't and they want to pay him in, it's only $500. And either way, they're both getting a free entry.
Okay.
And the form is on, it's super easy to fill out. We just send them a link. They fill it out, attach their pictures, hit send, and it's all done.
Sounds easy. What about a mare owner? Is there any involvement for mares or opportunity for mares to be a part of the program?
Well, the mare owners, we have many, many stallions, the top stallions in the world, to match their mare's needs, and many panel testings, because there's so many panel testings. You can find a stallion to fit your mare's needs in our Stallion Service Auction.
And at half price.
Yeah, a lot of times they're a lot less. And we so many different, we got all the different colors, we've got paints, we got apps, we've got quarters, all different bloodlines. Jim and I also, we purchased the Image of Kid semen from Linda Gordon's sale. So we have Image of Kid. They can bring back some really good old bloodlines, throw in with these new bloodlines, you know, and get some good, more solid foundation, better legs and feet on some of these, you know, to get some solid stuff under them, some better wheels and stuff.
Sure. So then what about a person or a business perhaps that wants to partner with your futurity as a sponsor? What's the process for that?
Well, they would contact myself or Jim, and we can discuss like what their needs are and how we can help them, how they can help us. You know, there's a lot of different ways they can sponsor monetarily. We take products of any kind. You know, we welcome anything, even if it's one lead rope, you know, their store will still get a mention.
All day during the show, we're constantly announcing our sponsors. We encourage them to send banners in, and we hang the banners all around the arena. So we try to give them as much exposure as possible.
And they also get clickable links on our website that leads to their.
Nice.
And so I print out personally, and my mom, again, part of my staff, she types up all of our sponsor list, and then she blows it up. I don't know how she does it because I'm not good with that. And we print them out, and I tape them up all over the barn so anybody can read our sponsors as well. Plus the announcer announces them at least 4 to 5 times during the show. And I always take a video, like I lay out all the products that people give us, and I take a video and post it so that all the sponsors can see their products set out in a nice, pretty video before we bag them up into our prize bags.
Nice. Helpful for exhibitors to anticipate what they're getting. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, people fight over stuff all the time. Like, I need that. I want this for polish. I need the peppy. I need this. I need that hoof polish. I need the fly spur, you know. So it's when they do that, and it makes me feel good. And I relay that to the product sponsors because that they need to know that. Something new.
That's great.
People give me feedback, and then I give that back to the sponsors.
The videos Marcy takes of all the products It also adds to the excitement for the exhibitors that are coming because it's usually the day before the show. We're setting everything up and Marcy's making her videos. It just adds to the build up for the excitement for the
Yeah.
show.
Because you don't get prizes. You might get a couple points, if that, and a bookmark.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
even if you got 2 prizes, it's exciting. I would love to get this bag of goodies if I was, showing at my show, but that might be a little
Yeah.
since I hire the AM.
Right. Right. That might come up on the challenges list later.
Yeah, that'd be a challenge when people are being like, she being a little shady.
Right. Right. So tell us about the future of the East Coast Halter Futurity. What changes or improvements are you excited about?
Well, the changes I'm kind of excited about is to see how this next year goes with less classes and bigger payouts, and that our economy is on our way to getting good again. With the
Okay.
economy, government, it's put a damper. People have to pick and choose where they're going to show. And that's why this is the first time the last 3 or 4 years since the late 70s that I haven't been able to show a horse because of the economy. Plus I got mouths to feed here at home. Hopefully, that will help bring more people to our show and bigger payouts and more excitement. So see how that goes. And if it goes well, we'll try to keep doing it this way. And then if it doesn't, we'll go back to our old way. Do you have anything that you're kind of excited about coming up?
Well, also, I'm excited about the new date also because it's not going to run so close to all the other futurities where people sort of have to pick where they wanted to go. This way they have plenty of time, and like you said, they have the opportunity to to come to our show.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, hoping that this helps. I'm really excited. I'm excited to we've taken the suggestion from other people, and we like suggestions from other people. Sometimes we don't take their suggestion, but we definitely consider it. I write it down because my memory isn't all there sometimes, and we discuss it. And sometimes we can incorporate part of their suggestion or all of their suggestion. So we do definitely like feedback from our exhibitors and participants.
Good. So when you get to the end of a show, at the end of your futurity, how do you measure success?
Personally, I measure success on how big their smiles are when
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And they're not solemn, but they got a big bag of prizes they can barely hang on to because there's so much heavy stuff in the bag. Because I count the numbers and I make up that many exhibitor bags. Sometimes at the end we have extra, so I'm just stuffing stuff in and they're like overflowing. So when they come out and they've got this big old honking smile, it's great. And then people go home and they set up their prize checks and their ribbons and their neck rings and all their stuff. And they send us pictures and thanking us. That to me is awesome.
Yeah.
You price on that. And that's why I do it, because it makes these people happy. And it makes me happy because since I'm not able to show, I'm kind of living vicariously through them.
Right.
So just seeing them happy. It's like my biggest measurement of success.
Yeah.
And
anything else, Jim?
Sorry, and
Marcy.
Deposited their checks. I write down in a notebook and I cross them off because I'm not like the perfect bookkeeper person. So I write them all down, the check numbers and how much they're for. And then I go through with my green marker. And that makes me smile when I see all these checks that have been deposited in cash. Let me see if I can pull up my page. Just to let's see if I can. Just here's like part of it. So just that makes me happy. Oh, so and so they deposited. Woohoo! They deposited. It makes me excited because they got money.
Yeah.
And if I noticed, say there's a series of X amount of checks, I'll text them and say, hey, you need to deposit your checks, man. You need your money. Because they're like, oh, I completely forgot. And, the next day I'll get the ding on my phone, deposited. So
What about you, Jim?
Just about everybody always comes up and thanks us and just gives, tells us how happy they are to be able to come there and what a great time they had. And the atmosphere was so relaxed. Even if things didn't go as planned for them, they still had a memorable experience
Hmm.
to where, it's great seeing them every year and they just keep coming back. So it's a really good feeling, and it makes you know the work you're doing all year, like you said, behind the scenes, is just all worth it.
Yeah.
we have one exhibitor in particular. He's been to every single one of our shows except for one because his wife was sick.
That
And
Ronald Mays,
he was so upset that he couldn't make it that year. And
Hmm.
we did miss him and his wife.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
They're
great. You've got some strong
my
followers, it sounds like.
for my extended family.
Hmm.
They
Yeah.
really extended family. And like Jim and I have kind of become best friends through this futurity. Even though he's in Jersey, we talk like all the time
constantly.
or text or whatever.
Yeah. So you may have already shared this in a general sense, but what would you say is the most rewarding part of your role?
My most personal rewarding part is making sure that people are winning money and prizes and seeing their smiles.
Yeah.
Like that's
Um,
also rewarding because up until obviously next year, my sisters both came, my mom, and like my family is all there. And my dad, which passed away from a drunk driver, killed him. He would be so happy how we're doing this and that my whole family is included. Like I'm trying to not get all teary eyed now. Um, but just to have my whole family there and helping and everybody just works together.
Yeah.
And one year, a couple years, Jim couldn't come. So my sisters hopped in and took over his role. And it was just like, and my nephew's been the scribe, the ring steward. And everybody's like making sure he's coming. But like,
Yeah.
there's going to be, they're not coming because it's Easter Sunday.
Yeah.
How
What
about
it
about you,
also
Jim?
it all feels good that we're doing our part to help the halter industry that is nothing like it used to be.
Hmm.
So I think that providing this venue and the atmosphere we give, I feel just we're doing our little part to help the future of the industry.
Yeah. That's important. I appreciate that. It takes all of us, doesn't it?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
and it takes the whole United States village to help us and sponsor us and give us breedings. It takes every single person, every single horse owner to do their part to keep this going for our industry because it's a dying industry.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you had to describe the East Coast Halter Futurity in 3 words, what would it be?
My 3 words would be fun, Southern hospitality, that's kind of 2 words, and awards.
Okay. What about you, Jim?
I'd also say definitely fun. I would say rewarding, and I would say just a comfortable atmosphere for everybody, from the seasoned professional to the, like Marcy said, to the first time horse shower. Just feel welcome.
There
Yeah.
was one year, I think it was actually our first year, a lady brought her horses. She had never shown halter before. And I was out there the night before teaching her how to set her horse up because she had no idea. And it was so much fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
And she actually won one of her classes. She won one of her classes.
Did win.
Yeah, yeah.
And she's since passed away. So I'm glad she got to win some.
Yeah. But you created a raving fan out of her, and potentially she told others about it. So it's awesome. Thanks for what you're doing. I want to make sure that we cover all the details one more time. Where can people go for more information about the East Coast Halter Futurity?
They can contact myself or Jim Scarpa
Okay.
or Thompson, or they can go to eastcoasthalterfuturity.net,
Okay.
or they can message us through Facebook. And
Okay.
if they webpage. All of our emails and phone numbers, contact information is there.
Okay.
And that East Coast Halter Futurity show is the Facebook page.
Okay. Thank you. And then tell us the dates, deadlines, if there's an early registration discount or anything like that would help the exhibitor or the stallion owner.
Where our Stallion Service Auction is January 19th through the 21st.
Okay.
The Stallion Services are sold on Buy It Now. Our horse show is Sunday, April 20th, 2025. And we don't have our other deadlines done yet. We're finishing up the show bill and getting the entry due dates and all of that. But they can start with the Stallion Service Auction, obviously first.
Okay.
And already wanting to know when they can get their entries in, but we don't have that date just yet. Since we've just kind of changed it, we're just getting everything together.
It will be very friendly though. The deadlines, they're not going to be harsh, with late fees and all that because of the change.
Sure. Tell me about the location.
It's at
of
the
show.
In Lexington, Virginia.
Okay. Virginia Horse Center. Is that what you said?
Yes, it's a very big horse center. Like they do cross-country eventing and everything there.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of covered arenas and indoor arenas, a lot of barns.
Okay.
And they've been making it nice. They've redone their stalls. They've redone the footing. They've redone the footing in some of the stalls. So they're really been making upgrades because I've shown there in the 80s when it was a newer facility.
Okay. All right. Anything else that you want to share with our listeners?
Come show with us. We're happy to have you.
Absolutely.
You have great prizes. I already know.
We try.
I can't wait to see the pictures.
I think prizes, like I try so hard and I contact so many people. And so far, we've got 3 halters already donated.
That's awesome.
I know we have a Kathy's, we'll have a Harris, and then we have, I think it's a Dale Chavez that was donated. Mm-hmm. So far I've got 3 halters to hand out.
Wow. Thank you for everything that you're doing. Southern hospitality is one word. I tend to agree, and it explains a lot. You guys have talked a lot about how welcoming your environment is, how it's appropriate and fun, and a challenge for the brand new beginner to the professional. Thank you for what you're doing for the industry, for the horses.
Thank you
for all of it.
We're very grateful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we'll have you out here in just a few days on Facebook and, on Amazon, Spotify, Apple, and on YouTube so that people can learn more about your futurity, and then they can reach you either through Facebook or the website. So thanks for your time. I appreciate you.
Very grateful.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hey, if you're an amateur or a professional willing to share your story or bring content that helps us with our halter horses, you can email me at fitforhalter@gmail.com.